Situationships are one of the leading causes of anxiety and frustrations in dating. Are you in a situationship with no labels but a lot of good, vague vibes? Is it driving you crazy? Well, stick around to learn the signs of a situationship and what to do about it. This video is for any woman who finds herself in a situationship who wants it to be a real relationship. Situationships are so common these days. Similar to friends with benefits, except for the fact that there aren't really any labels. You're not really sure if you're friends, if you're dating, if you're just friends with benefits. You don't really know. You're seeing a guy and maybe having sex, hanging out, and possibly doing all the things that you might be doing when you're dating. You just aren't actually labeling it as dating. Does this sound familiar? Give me a thumbs up if you've ever been in a situationship or if you're stuck in one right now. Back when I was in college, I had a lot of friends who I would give relationship advice to, and a lot of them were in situationships as well. One particular person that I'm thinking about had been in a situationship where she was really trying to develop some sort of relationship, rapport, depth with this person, and no matter what she tried, whether it was dates, whether it was sex, whether it was just trying to engage with their friends and family when they came to visit them, it just never seemed to go anywhere. And at the end, she was just really unsatisfied because she was putting so much effort into it and getting nothing back. If what you want is a strong, committed relationship that is going to last a long time, a situationship isn't going to get you there. It's bad because neither of you actually have communicated or agreed on what you want. This can bring a lot of assumptions to the relationship about where you are and where they are. So the rift between you can grow bigger and bigger and bigger over time. You might even be avoiding this conversation because you don't want to rock the boat or ruin your chances, but what we aren't doing is actually creating bridges and really just getting further and further away from each other as the assumptions grow bigger and bigger. For example, let's say you are in a situationship and you really want this to become something bigger. But the guy you're with thinks this is just a friends with benefits situation, is just doing it for fun. Those are two really different approaches to relationships, and they're not gonna meet in the middle somewhere unless you actually talk about it. You may find yourself high and dry as you start pushing for more and more, and every time you try and bring up depth, your significant other clams up. And the let's talk scenario just pushes them further and further away because, again, they're focused on friends with benefits. Friends with benefits don't have the let's talk. Friends with benefits just have the let's get in bed and then go have fun. Think about what it's like to try and have serious conversations with someone who is just making jokes out of it, whether it's in a relationship or not. That can be incredibly frustrating. I've had more people come into my office and talk about people who aren't taking the conversation seriously and how infuriating that can be. So, let's see if we can spot some signs that you may be in a situationship in order to help you navigate the relationship you're currently in. Number one, things aren't progressing or getting more serious no matter what you do. You put a lot of time, energy, and effort, and it just never seems to go anywhere. A couple of key things about this particular rule is you aren't going to be talking about the future, and every time you talk about it, you're going to get a lot of vagueness. Oh yeah, well, we'll figure that out when we get there. Or, you know, I just really want to go and I want to just get out of here. That is not helpful. Another thing you'll notice is you're just going to get stuck in the hanging out or being casual. None of the dates actually take that leap from like something you do with a friend to something you do on a date. And that is, again, part of the vagueness that you just want to notice and address if you start to see it. The second thing you want to look at is the I don't want to put a label on this. Because that line, if you've gotten that line or another line like it, tells you that this person isn't having the emotional depth and connection that you want them to have. Drop me a comment with these lines that you've heard from guys that you've tried to date in the comments below. Number three, you're never introduced to friends or family. Now, this may seem sort of silly, especially when you're first starting to date, although we're not calling it that, because again, situationship. But if the guy that you're dating is not actually introducing you to other people in his life, that means that he's put a clear barrier between you and then a wall and then everyone else. So If you do get introduced, you may also find yourself being introduced as a friend or as your name, but there's no label with it. There's no, oh, this is the person I'm seeing, or this is my girlfriend, or this is my, friends with benefits person. You won't see any of that. Number 4, you have totally separate lives. There's no integration. You have your life and they have their life. And when you try to interact with their life, again, they put a stop on it, they put some vagueness in there, or you don't even get invited to those things because, again, there's you, then a wall, and then everything else. You want to avoid that if possible. So now that we've looked at the list of things to look out for, the real question is, should you stay or should you go? It can be tough if you still think it might turn into something somewhere, someday, because we have a lot of emotional investment there. If that's where you are with a guy that you're dating, not dating, sort of situationship thing, then set yourself a timeline to see if a development actually occurs. If after your length of time, a month or 2 or a week, you're still in the same place that you were before, then you have your answer, whether you like that answer or not. If you have decided that you are going to go, you're not going to stay, you're not going to try this any longer, then we have to figure out how to get over this particular person. The best way to get over him is to really remind yourself about what did not work and keep yourself busy with other things and other people. You wanted depth and you got a kiddie pool. So if you can keep that in mind, you'll be able to leave them behind much more effectively because they really weren't giving you what you wanted anyway. If you genuinely think that your situationship could be the rare exception, the one that turns into something more, then you have to be the one making moves. Don't wait for them to do it. Again, they're comfortable where they are. So if you are uncomfortable, you have to be the one putting in the effort. If he goes for it, great. Have your conversations about the relationship, put some actual labels in there, even just starter labels can be great because that will help both of you be on the same page and get you heading towards not a situationship, but more of a relationship. If, on the other hand, the response is, ew, gross feelings, what are you trying to ruin the good vibes we've got here? Then that's probably your answer as well, and it's probably time to move on. Don't get stuck in a situationship. If what you want is a lasting, committed relationship, then notice the signs and either level up to a real relationship or get out of the situationship. You want someone who is going to give you time, care, attention, and the commitment that you deserve. You deserve a great relationship, so don't settle for a situationship.